Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tech Informist. This is episode 51, recorded live Monday, March the 30th. My name is Kevin Harvell. I'm joined by JJ Hammond. JJ, how are you over there?
You really shouldn't ask that. No, today is welcome everyone to Manic Monday. I'm just blessed to be able to hang out with my good friend Kevin today, and to have you guys listen to the show. We really appreciate it. So today is kind of motivational Mondays or quote Mondays, however you want to say that. But I'm going to do a little bit of opposite. Whoever said pain doesn't last forever is full of beep. The other thing too I wanted to say is nothing lasts forever. Not even hate. So, Kevin, let's do what we do best here and hang out, my friend, and talk about technology.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great things going on in the world of technology, obviously, but just take care of a little bit of business before we get started. If you have any content, or I always want to say content, comments, suggestions, feedback, email them to contact@thetechinformist.com. We would also love to interact with you on Twitter, maybe even Facebook or Google Plus if you're one of the Google Plus supporters, which, as people know, I personally am. I really like Google Plus and think it's a great platform. Without Google Plus and Hangouts, this show would be a little bit more difficult to put on. So, what are your thoughts, JJ? You like Google Plus, don't you? As far as I can tell.
I like any way that people can interact with us and tell us how much they love us. No, Google Plus is fun. I think choice is good, and I think that any way that there's because there's people who hate Facebook, there's people who hate Google Plus, there's people who hate Twitter. So obviously, they're gonna have the things they like, and
But haters need to stop hating.
No. I'm just glad that there's options for them. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely.
So that's where I was going with that. Like, I'm just glad that there's multiple ways that people can get a hold of us. So
yeah, who would have thought, 15 years ago that society and technology would be what it is today, where we can interact with people from anywhere in the world, that they have an internet connection.
I thought we'd be much further along.
Okay.
Than we are now.
A little Back to the Future like kind of stuff, or
maybe a little bit, but I forgot to take into account the human factor and how much we suck. So let's
yeah,
we
can ruin as much as we do positive. So
right.
One other little thing too, we're less than a week away from the end of our Teespring T-shirt campaign, so please visit teespring.com/tech-informist. Or make sure to visit the website. We've got an apparel link. You can go to there or check our Twitter feed. We'll be tweeting that out from time to time, each day probably until the end of the campaign. We need your help. Spread the word.
How far away are we?
I have no idea. I actually haven't looked.
Okay.
I just know that we need some help, because the more we get, the better things that we can get to give away. You got me this microphone for my birthday a week or so ago. So that's one less thing we've got to worry about spending money on. So that's one more thing we can now buy. That's more money we can put towards buying stuff to give away to our listeners.
Is the thing that I taped on there still on there?
Yeah, I'm not taking it off. It's still there.
That's awesome.
It's still there. Yeah. So we're gonna do things a little different. At some point during this episode, I'm actually going to do a live Periscope stream and also a Meerkat stream. So if you're following on Twitter as well, you'll be able to see those links and be like, oh, okay. So just wanted to be able to try this out, as I got an iPhone over the weekend from our good friend Alejandro Ramirez. I actually bought one, so 48 hours in with this thing, and there's a lot more apps that you can access with an iPhone than you can with any other platform at the moment. So I'm going to be trying that away.
Well, so we're about 49 away from, Brad says, from our Teespring.
Okay, so we need some help. Share the link. I can actually put it in the chat room now I'm thinking about it. That way everybody will have that link right away. Copy and paste. And there is the link. So if anybody in the chat room sees that link, please share that out and spread the word.
Awesome.
So moving on to our first story, I'm going to lead things off with a Microsoft Windows and Windows Phone story. Gabe All, who is one of the main people behind the Windows Phone development team, posted a blog entry on the official Windows blogs Friday. It was afternoon, Friday evening. Kind of odd timing, but hey, any news on this is good news. And here he says that they are readying the next version of the Windows 10 for phones build, and is going to be probably releasing within possibly this week, which more than likely would be on Thursday the 2nd, but I'm actually thinking it's more likely going to be coming out on the 9th. So I'm thinking next Thursday, because whenever they say a week, there's some big things that they're still working on. But it's pretty much going to open up to everything from the 920, the 1020, 1320, 1520, 520, pretty much every Lumia phone that you can think of, except the 930 is conspicuously absent. And also the 640 XL is not listed on there, but the regular 640 is on there. So that's kind of interesting. The 928 and the Icon, which is on there as well. So it's kind of surprising to see the 930 not listed if the Icon is, because they're pretty similar, but maybe that'll be taken care of before they launch that to have that ready. So looking forward to getting this and finally being able to test it on a device that I own.
Right. So yeah, that's going to be kind of interesting. I like this story just because obviously we're very excited when we hear Windows 10 for Windows phones, especially flagship phones. That's exciting, and I think more so just because we're going to get like you said, Kevin, the 1520 for example. One caveat I would say to this story is make sure you don't install this on your
Daily driver.
Daily driver, thank you. Definitely don't do that. That's a really, really bad idea, because running the Windows 10 technical preview for Windows Phone on a 635 has been quite buggy, to say the least. But it is really neat, and I'm excited to see this. Last little bit from me on this story is whoever had to come up with that list, I hope that they said, you know what? This is why people hate us, because there is a gajillion Lumia devices, right? Yeah. So whoever had to come up with that list was probably like, I'm going to send this to somebody and have them look at this crazy list, Yeah,
it's one of those things. It's almost easier to say, okay, these are the devices not included. If you don't see your device here, hey, you're going to get it. But I understand, you've got to cater to everybody, and is my phone? I don't see my phone there. Well, that's because you're going to get it. It's going to be available. It's okay. But I know sometimes you got to make things easier for everybody to understand.
Yep. So are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay, so my next story is really cool because even though I don't know why now that I think about it. I mean, people suck like a whole bunch, but so why do I care about keeping them alive? But turns out that polio cures cancer. No. So follow this logic here with me. An old strain of the virus has been used to treat brain cancer, and it is about 50% of a success rate for patients who no longer have any signs of cancer. Our success rate in patients, and they no longer have any signs of cancer after that. So that's really awesome. So the technical part of this story is essentially with kind of new ultrasound techniques and with new versions of kind of different ways to approach curing diseases and stuff like that, we're able to, with technology, be able to, with these high-powered machines and stuff, see into this process. Now, how it works is this old version of polio, like not a newer strain, but an older strain, was used to be injected for people with brain cancer, and then what it did was it allowed the immune system, the natural immune system in the human body, to go in and eat away the cancer that was eating away at the brain. So that's pretty awesome. And so what was really cool, I think, for me to see was that there was something other than like mice studies to show that there's like a legit, way to treat these kinds of, terminal forms of cancer. So I was really cool. I don't know. I was just, there was a lot to this story, and there, I mean, a 50%, people kind of scoff. There was there were out of 22 people, there was like 11 people that made it. That's
Wow.
huge, dude.
Yeah.
In cancer, I mean, that's a big deal. So. We're all scared to death of that sort of thing, and we should be, because if you've ever
Right.
watched somebody pass away from that, it's
Yeah,
it's horrible.
it is a horrible thing. Do you have a link for that story as well that we
I'll
can share?
find it. I'm pretty sure it was. I'll find it, Kevin.
Okay.
I'll put it in there. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was like a CNN or CBS 60-minute thing. I don't remember, but I just remember reading the whole thing. It was like,
Okay.
oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. And you talking about mice and stuff like that. Don't you like feel sorry for mice and rats because they're the ones that like get
Yeah,
tested on all the time for all this stuff? But I mean, I guess
I saw
somebody's got to have the testing done.
I saw a mouse flag. Like, when we eventually defeat all of the things that plague humanity,
That'll be
we're
a
gonna have to pay
celebration.
homage to mice, because like they take the brunt of all of our scientific
Our
study.
testings, yeah.
By the way, Freakonomics is a really good podcast. They had a segment where they talked about how studies in mice need to be conducted differently, and there was this really interesting thing that, Kevin, did you know that they rely on the mouse's immune system instead of human immune system? So this doctor says that scientists need to go in and remove the mouse's immune system and inject it with a human immune system, like completely kill off the mouse's immune system,
Wow.
artificially insert a human
Poor
immune system in
things.
a mouse, and then have that be the study instead of like rely on the mouse's immune system. And I'm like, I didn't know we didn't do that already.
Yeah,
So
you would kind of think they were already doing that, but
nope, they're not.
yeah.
So if you didn't fall asleep during that last story, no.
Right.
Go ahead, Kevin. Talks about bulk discounts for iPhone trade-in.
Yeah, so we're back on the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch will be available. You'll be able to go take a look at it next Friday on April the 10th. So actually, April the 10th is a big day because that's when you'll be able to get your Galaxy S6 or 6 Edge and HTC One M9 and just all these different devices and stuff is going to be available on the 10th. But Apple has announced that they will not be offering business pricing or financing for or iPhone trade-ins for the Apple Watch. So for all those businesses that were looking to get a nice discount by buying in bulk, sorry, not going to happen. I mean, you'll still be able to buy them under your business accounts and stuff like that, but don't be looking for discounts and stuff like that on this, especially for this initial wave that you can expect to be apparent at launch. So, because it's going to be in very high demand, so they're not going to be wanting, they're going to want to make their money back quickly, and obviously we are very sure that they will without an issue.
Yeah, yeah, right. So the interesting thing about this is that Apple really wants to make their money back after making these things.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of making money, Kevin, to follow your story, if you are the lucky owner of a $10,000 Apple Watch edition, you're gonna get some awesome perks with that. You get to skip the line.
Yeah, skip the queue.
So it turns out that sources from 9 to 5 Mac and then thereby Engadget and all these other places, because that's all we do is steal from each other, the people buy the gold Apple Watch edition will be able to skip the queues whenever they need help. They'll be able to get bumped in the front of the line when buying, and they'll have an hour to spend trying out watches in a private area. So for those of you who love the idea of 1% lifestyle, you're going to love the 1% treatment. Instead of 15 minutes at a table like this, like the scum of the earth who only pay $350 for the low end. And if the worst happens, you'll at least get 2 years of access to a dedicated edition phone support line that operates around the clock. This kind of bend over backwards help isn't unusual in the luxury world, where other stuff, one-on-one services are common and exactly standard fare for a company that will gladly sell you a $50 music player. Thankfully, the report also suggests that Apple won't save everything for its wealthiest customers. If you buy either the regular stainless steel watch or the edition, you'll have the option of a virtual personal setup that is an Apple Store staffer guiding you through your new wristwear using video chat. The only big problem is that you will get none of the perks if you buy a Watch Sport. You'll have to settle for the same assistance that you would get for your iPhone. So, you know, a lot of people give me crap because I feel like, you know, we should all be treated the same no matter what our the depth of our pocketbooks. But, you know, I don't condone violence, but I wouldn't say smacking somebody that spent this amount of money would be about it. No, I'm just messing with you.
Right.
So this is interesting. I think, you know, why would you broadcast unless you're like a Jay-Z or like a big, you know, deal? Why would you broadcast that you have that kind of money? I remember I was standing in line at a bank once, and I had a rich friend, and I remember when he withdrew 10 grand from the bank. I was like, dude, I've never seen 10 grand in cash before. And we're standing at the front of the line, and he looks at me with eyes like if he could kick my butt, like right then and there, he would have. He's like, dude, we have to walk through these people to get out the bank. You don't think that one of these people aren't going to follow us after you said that, you idiot? And I was only 16 years old, you know. But at the time, that was the most money I'd ever seen, man. And so I think that they're going to get this the same kind of thing. So I don't see, you know, unless you're driving to, you know, Rodeo Boulevard or whatever, Beverly Hills, that sort of thing, that, you know, you're going to go out of your way to say, hey, especially here in St. Louis, right? You're not going to see like a dedicated area for that. Like, pretty sure that they're going to be like, no, just go ahead and give it to me in the slide.
Yeah.
So I can make it out here in one piece.
Exactly. So man, that is going to be interesting to see. I mean, because you know there's going to be so many people there, and they're going to be doing their, you know, it's going to be lined out the door and down and around all the corners, and the hall's going to be full of people wanting to check this thing out and setting up appointments and getting your 10 to 15 minute time. And man, oh god, I cannot even imagine trying to go in there on the 10th to get a look at this thing.
Well, Alejandro will inevitably be there for sure.
Yes, I'm sure he will be there and as well. So, so I'm going to go ahead and start this little Periscope thing. So if you're following live on Twitter,
okay,
you can check this out. So I'm going to hit the start broadcast button, and it says we're now live. So,
whoa, I just saw that.
It's kind of interesting. So I guess tell me what you're going to be seeing. I mean,
Okay,
like looking over there, there's the surface as we're getting ready to do it.
Ooh, that sounds dirty, Kevin.
So some people are actually joining. That's kind of odd.
Well, that's me.
Oh, that's
Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry.
There's actually a whole bunch of people like joining on this thing. That's pretty cool. So yeah, this is the Tech Informist podcast. We're doing our live recording. So everybody that's checking this out here, talking about some new flash storage with tech promising and some tenfold capacity increases. I mean, that is cool because talking about this with the like with this MacBook Pro, I've got a 256 gig storage on here, and obviously we would always want to have more storage if possible. And with this new technology that iMore is talking about here, you're going to be able to get that. So in 3D NAND, the layers of flash cells are stacked on top of one another to increase the storage density. Planar NAND, the technology now is used, is pretty close to its density limit. So imagine cutting through the technical language, and that result is that a 2.5-inch solid-state drive could come in at 10 terabyte capacities compared to the 1 terabyte drives most laptops max out at today. And the smaller solid-state drives required for the super skinny laptops of the world won't see quite as much of a gain, but you could always still see a jump to 3.5 terabytes compared to the 512 you would see currently. That's pretty cool. So
I think this story gives more credence to the idea of. I mean, I was a big fan of the idea of the Motorola Atrix, and for those of you who don't know what that is it was an originally Motorola's first push into this idea of being able to dock a phone into a laptop style of kind of like a Surface thing, God, nobody's listening to me if they're watching this live stream, by the way.
Yeah. So nobody could hear a word you're saying, JJ.
I know, that's fine. But my point here is that this gives more credence to the idea of having like a phone and then just docking it into like a laptop thing, and then
Hmm.
it being either a laptop or then being cast up onto dual monitors or whatever.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the smaller and smaller these solid state drives are, you think about you know what the future holds for
Right.
laptops or for these portable
Yeah.
devices. Because right now I can take my Surface out of the dock and head on into the wherever,
Right.
and good to go.
Yeah.
So
So
what do
all
you
that thought, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this Periscope stream down. So thank everybody for checking this stream out, and also please visit thetechinformist.com. You can always watch our podcast recordings live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at thetechinformist.com/live. So follow us on Twitter at techinformist, and we will see you all soon. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Um,
I
that's interesting.
think that shut off. I don't know.
Hold on. I'm watching it now, and dive. No. So I think it didn't shut off. Hold on. Wait.
There it goes. It
1, 2.
is over.
All right. So
It's pretty cool.
there was a 3-second delay, approximately.
Okay, that's cool. I know it ends with me flipping the camera around and doing a selfie. That's a bad way to end things.
Yeah, I know, right?
But no,
Actually,
whenever
I
I
didn't.
saw this
When you did
story,
that, I didn't see your
yeah.
face. It just ended. So.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, when I saw this story, I was like, this is awesome, being able to put huge storage capacities in our future computers and stuff like that. I'm like, that's awesome. That is cool.
That is cool. All right, moving on. So Flock gets hacked. Darn it.
Yay. What isn't getting hacked?
Well, I just saw a story, by the way, that came across Twitter. I don't know. I didn't really look into it too much, but it said something like Microsoft Outlook exposed the passports of 31 top-level diplomats or something like that.
Nice.
I'm like, sweet. All right, so Slack, Kevin shared with me, is a way to kind of a collaborative working type of deal. What would you akin it to? Kind of like Skype, or like kind of like Hip Chat or Yammer?
I mean, we're talking about Slack, right?
Yep.
So Slack is basically software that allows groups of people. Like for example, we have our stltechtalk.com domain, and so everybody with that email address on that domain, can get into this group, and it's the basic services are free, and you can kind of collaborate, share files, and just do all kinds of stuff, kind of like in real time. It's for team collaboration and trying to help streamline some work efficiency and things that you're working on. So actually, it's pretty neat stuff.
Okay. So real quick though, so I found my story. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's a popular business collaboration tool, so that's how they're selling it, right? But they got hacked in February. As a result, the company is now rolling out two-factor authentication. Why weren't they doing that before, Kevin? I don't know, because
Good question.
it always goes back to what I always say, which is security is not always the first thing that comes to mind. And why? If you listen to this show, by the way, I picked up like a bunch of Twitter followers, and literally security is in their profile. I love that. I love you. The reason why we have security is because we don't want to be exploited. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't want to have spam in the thing. If you've ever been hacked, or if you've ever been exposed, or whatever, you're like, oh my gosh, or robbed, or whatever. However you want to think of it.
You feel violated.
Yeah, you feel violated. No one wants to feel violated.
Dirty.
Well, I shouldn't say that, because I'm picturing maybe a CEO strapped to like a chair getting spanked by a dominatrix. But
Careful now.
Since the compromise in the system was first discovered, we've been working on. This is their quote, or this is their on the record. Since the compromise, they've been working 24 hours a day to methodically examine, rebuild, test each component of their system to ensure that it is safe. And Toth, Slack's VP of Compliance and Strategy, where were you from the beginning? And they say they are collaborating with outside experts to cross-check assumptions and ensure that they are meticulous in their you know what, this is the same garbage that's spilled out every time somebody makes a mess.
Yeah.
So this is interesting to me because why, uh, why, like why wasn't two-factor the first get? So I would suggest everybody find out if this thing, whatever you're looking into, has a way to do two-step authentication. It's not going to stop hacker. It's not going to change
No.
the game, but it's going to slow them down a little bit. Like it's gonna make them go to something else possibly, or make them work a little harder. Because if there's one thing that everybody likes, it's to make thieves work a little bit harder. You know, uh, big fan of white hat hackers. Or even
Yeah,
gray.
that hack to find vulnerabilities and let the companies know, hey,
Yeah.
you need to patch these holes because if
Right.
you don't, somebody that isn't honest like me is going to take advantage and really hurt you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like the thought of living in a world where we're not all screwing each other over every second of every day. But so that's my story. Kevin, you're up next.
And you're sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's a guy, and kind of speaking along the lines of hacking. Now, this not necessarily hacking, but it's software development. Now, this guy remade Super Mario 64's most iconic level in HD and playable in your web browser. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
level in subject this is all about is really just the first level, and
Okay.
it's not complete. It doesn't have like Bob-omb at the top of the hill and red coins scattered throughout the level, stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you go to this link from TechCrunch, and you can also there's a YouTube video here that you can watch. So he used the gaming software development tool called Unity. So Unity 3D. I believe he's probably using Unity 5. Which, speaking of Unity 5, JJ, you and Alejandro talked about this last week on our
Mm-hmm.
most recent episode of Codecast. So I thought that is pretty cool to have this all kind of like tie in and kind of plug that show as well. So Codecast by ASTL Tech Talk, and you can check that discussion out as well. But looking at this, the graphics on it are like unbelievable because we all know what the Nintendo 64 looked like, all nice and blocky, and it was great for its time. But now you look back and you go, oh god, that's rough on the eyes. But,
Yeah.
but no, it's pretty cool, and you can play around with it right in your web browser. So we'll link to that story as well. So make sure to check out the episode page after we're done with this. Check back later this afternoon, and by the time
Mm-hmm.
you're listening to this live, listening to the replay of this, the links will all be there as well. So it's pretty cool stuff, and I don't know if you had a chance to check this out yet, JJ, or not, but what are your thoughts on this?
Hold on a second. So looking at yeah. So you're right. I mean, Unity it's really interesting, and I think to plug the show, obviously Codecast, we actually have a video up now of the working deal. So if you do go listen to the show, the presentation didn't work right out of the gate. I mean, it did for the test stuff, but like we tried to make a Flappy Bird game style type thing. But that didn't work, and we remedied that, and Alejandro got it working. So just a little caveat there. But as far as Unity goes, it really just goes to show what you can do with it. Now, this developer had stated that he's not going any further. It's just one level. It's just to show what he could do and what Unity could do. If you're not into Unity, you should be, just to kind of check it out and see what can happen with it. But I think it goes to show how cool games can be when you just have some spare time and you want to kind of create this sort of stuff using, let's see, I don't yeah, fine, I'll talk about it. So I've been playing a little bit of Batman Arkham like Origins. I've been playing
Yeah.
some Transformer games on the G3. I like, it's really nice, and I could see using Unity to build some of these games, like old school games,
Mhm.
or variations of them, pretty easily. And I really like that. And I think what this means is we can see a lot of games like the games we used to play, and that means kind of a lot because like we can re-enjoy those things, even if Nintendo doesn't fully bring back some of this stuff. We can
Right.
still have some of it. I remember jet ski. There was a jet ski game for the Nintendo 64. I think that like came with this thing,
Yeah, I
and
believe
like I
Wave
played that.
Race.
Yeah, I played that like it was nobody's business, yo. Like racing the dolphins. Like I remember the 64-bit dolphins, and I was just like, oh, that's dope, that's awesome, you know. But so that's really really cool. So. To finish up this thought on Unity, it's a really great gaming developer platform that can create some amazing style stuff. And just to give people a little bit of heads up, this guy who made this 64-bit Super Mario did not make anything past just the first level and plans not to go any further with it. He just wanted to show what could be done, but it was a nostalgic moment to watch Mario do that triple flip in the air
Yeah.
over the exploding thing. That was really, really cool.
I mean, it looks just like something you would see on the Wii or the Wii U. I mean, it
did. Yeah,
beautiful. It's like, wow.
Yeah, he did a really good job.
Is Unity free?
Yes.
It is? Wow, so it's free to use? Wow.
So it's free, and you can distribute it to iOS, Android, and Windows. To the Windows App Store, to the Android App Store, and to the iOS app stores. And what's really cool about it is I think for the free stuff, all they do is kind of like just say this was developed by Unity or whatever. It's not like really intrusive.
Yeah, it's like right there in the splash screen or something like that.
Yeah, but that's fine. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
I can deal with that.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So honorable mentions that I'm not going to go full-fledged into as far as stories go, but Halo. I gotta say, both of those videos for the new Halo 5 games looked amazing. I mean, obviously I'm not, I don't do the shooters or whatever, but I think it's great for Microsoft and it's great for the platform of Xbox to really come out in a big way with right out, just October 27th. It's going to be awesome. I'm sure a lot of people are going to play the heck out of it. I think there's going to be some people who are mad that the entire promotion wasn't done like in CG, like it wasn't done computerized, like it was like there was like an actual person walking through the thing instead. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It wasn't done in game mode or whatever. But I digress. The NSA considered canceling their surveillance program over people finding out and then freaking out. Isn't that hilarious? But they actually they didn't do that. You're like this, Kevin. GPS sends a pitcher for the Cubs to the wrong stadium.
Whoops.
Lastly, the Microsoft band is going to be promoted heavily during the upcoming WWE WrestleMania Mania. So WWE teams up with the Microsoft band and Microsoft and Microsoft band to track the movements and fitness of two of the most physical superstars, Ryback, seriously, that's his name, and Dolph Ziggler. What are these guys, porn stars? A few weeks back, Microsoft announced that the Microsoft band would be heading to the new market, and now the device is readily available for retail outlets. This comes to us via NeoWin ahead of WrestleMania 31. So this is pretty cool. I've said for the longest time that Microsoft needs to really get their crap together as far as promotion goes. Which, by the way, Apple, out of Google, Apple, Microsoft, are the best. Well, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, because we need to kind of include them in the platform, so to speak. But they're the best as far as getting their message out there, I think. Now that Microsoft has a full marketing team and one marketing team for the whole company, that is going to kind of change the game for them, I think. And this is just one of the many things that I would think that came out of their consolidation and then focus on one marketing team. Because to note, a lot of you, if you didn't know this, but now you will, Microsoft had different marketing teams for the different products that they had, which is insane to think, right? But now they're going to have one, which totally makes sense and kind of has that duh factor to it. So we're very excited to. Well, I'm very excited to see this stuff come through. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and fire up the Meerkat stream thing here, and we'll test this out here during the show as well. But I know WrestleMania was yesterday and all that stuff. So for people, I don't know if you watched WrestleMania. Let us know if you actually seen the band and what kind of promotions were going on during that. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually doing it looks like I'm doing the live Meerkat thing now, which looking at this now, it's like the video quality seems to be better on the Meerkat app from what I was seeing on Periscope.
Okay, hold on.
So it's kind of interesting. I don't know. So one person is now watching. That's cool. So welcome. This is Kevin from the Tech Informist. You can watch us live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at thetechinformist.com/live if you want to check out some tech podcasts. You can always follow us on Twitter at Tech Informist as well. So we got some people in the chat room as well.
Cool.
Talk about some news stories and tech and stuff like that.
Yeah, Raul, awesome contribution, by the way. Real-time map coverage of T-Mobile. That was kind of cool. He gave us a link in the chat.
Yes. Yeah, T-Mobile and
obviously my first thought was like, how do they know that?
It must be Brad. Brad's watching Meerkat.
Oh.
You can see my Beatles mug right there. Oh my gosh, look at that. We usually don't talk about this stuff during a tech show, but hey, it's the Beatles, and who doesn't like the Beatles? We'll just do a quick little thing around. Oh, look at there's a Beatles picture. Whoa, whoa. All right, I'm going to go ahead and shut this thing down. So everybody, Tech Informist, love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, but kind of behind the scenes thing. So I don't know which one of these that I like better at the moment, but I'm going to hit save the stream and save it.
I was going to say that we should do behind the scenes, but I cuss way too much.
Yeah, and it'd have to be definitely after dark, and wouldn't be able to share that on iTunes because it wouldn't make the clean.
You would hear it first. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Yeah. But anyway, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So JJ, are you a wrestling fan? Did you like grow up and thinking wrestling was like the shit, isn't it?
I did, and I still do.
Okay.
I think it's a show for people who like watching other people get beat up.
Yeah.
No, I remember. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kind of all over the place today, but I remember watching for the first time my very first wrestle, or as my grandma would call it, wrestling.
Wrestling.
My grandma, she's in her 80s, and she's pushing 90, and she has a tricked out Monte Carlo.
Oh.
She watches wrestling every week.
Every week, religiously. My uncle does down in Texas.
She really does. Rowdy Piper was her favorite back in the day. I don't know who her favorite is now. Yeah. But she gets into it like hardcore. And when I was so I've got a lot of history tied up in wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah. So I remember watching Goldberg when he was the main man back in the day.
Yep.
He came to St. Louis and he speared somebody. Actually, he speared two somebodies. And that was like the coolest thing ever. So that was really good. And then I'm not really sure what happened to him because I don't follow it or anything. I'm just like a casual whatever. Like when it's in the news, I'll check it out.
He podcasts now, just like many classic wrestlers. They do podcasts.
Freaking serious? That's hilarious.
Podcasting's growing, man.
Yeah. Well,
we're on Podcast One Network. So.
By the way, if you want to support Kevin in the show, go to the Tech Informist. And go to thetechinformist.com/live or, honestly, really anywhere. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see subscription levels. You too can be as the coveted Raw in our current chat room, an all-star.
And Nils. I mean, Nils is a supporter too.
Yeah, and Nils.
So many different levels. Let's see. Right now, there's 2, 4, 6. There's a total of 8. 3 of them are more so for companies and sponsors like that, but. We've got some things. I'm still working on, what the kind of like reward levels, what you will get in return. So
right,
I will get that done. I swear.
The other stuff that we're going to cover probably on Wednesday's show is going to be the HTC One is HTC One E8 E9 like Plus or whatever that's going to be. We'll have some more details on that on Wednesday. I think. Right now we know some stuff. We just don't know like legit stuff yet that we can digest. But let's go ahead and move on into our applications and entertainment. I have Raw, you're my all-star buddy. So my pick this episode is got to be hands down, and Brad's gonna enjoy this. Uh, Five Finger Death Punch. Now, for those of you who are turned off by the name, you have to realize that there is a certain culture that is around heavy metal music, and they have to, uh, kind of, they kind of fall into this genre. So they're not advocating for people beating people to death, or they could be. I really don't know. But they have a really good song called "Your Heaven's Trying to Keep Me Out," and I really, really enjoy it. I remember I heard it first on Criminal Minds episode because I really like those procedural cop shows that drive everybody crazy, but I do kind of enjoy them sometimes as like a break from actual reality because no crime is solved that fast. But that's the first time I heard it, and then when I went back and I found it, I was like, wow, this it's really deep, it's moving, it's got some really good tunage behind it. So I think Brad showed me some art or sent me a link, and you can see it in my Twitter feed of another song that they do. But they do a lot of really interesting, introspective song choices for veterans and stuff, and that kind of means a lot to me. So,
Nice.
Kevin, you're up, sir.
All right, so what I want to just briefly talk about is an app called Untapped. Now, if I've already talked about this awesome app before, I apologize, but I want to talk about it again because I've been using it a little bit more lately. I mean, I'm not like some heavy drinker or anything like that anymore because I learned my lesson. And but no, I've had a couple here lately, and if we're out and about and just wanting to be social, I know Brad Whiteside, even Daniel Rubino from Windows Central, he does a lot. I mean, he posts a lot using that app as well. Doing like check-ins. It's kind of like Foursquare or Swarm for beer drinkers, and you can find and all sorts of different breweries and see what other products that they may have, and you just simply check in, you rate the beer, you can take a picture to add a picture of the bottle. Like I had this one when I was at the Nebraska Code Conference at a sushi bar called like some little Buddha or something like that, and the bottle comes out and it's shaped like a little Buddha. I'm like, okay, this is different. So I had made sure I added a picture of that bottle for that when I checked that one in as well. So kind of cool. It's free. It's available on Android, iOS, and Windows Phone.
Yay!
If I listen to more music on a regular basis, I'd probably actually have some music suggestions, but I need to start listening to music.
You could throw out a podcast suggestion like me and Vernon do on the MS Mobile Show.
Yeah. Speaking of MS Mobile Show, we'll be recording that here live in about hour and 15 minutes. So we'll be doing that. Yeah. So you can always watch that live each Monday at about 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep.
At msmobileshow.com/live. Another podcast, speaking of which, let's see, kind of do some, let me look through my list of podcasts real quick and try to come up with one, because using Pocket Cast, you can always find and just grab all these beautiful cover arts and things like that for different podcasts as well.
If you're a hippie in the non-South Park kind of way, you'll probably like me a lot. Actually, you know what? I don't care who you are. You're probably going to like me a lot. If you don't like that ego statement, trust me, you'll get over it. Right. I think I'm more of a hippie. So if you're a hippie and you like me, follow me on Twitter at JJHammondMusic. I think you'll enjoy it.
Right. So real quick, one podcast. I think depending on if you're like in the social media and stuff like that, always trying to figure out ways, if you have a brand or like a website, ways that you can kind of help build your brand. For example, the Social Strategy Podcast with Vernon Ross is a very good podcast.
Oh, that is, yeah.
He does some really good stuff, and I will actually be with him in Vegas in 2 weeks. Actually, like 2 weeks from today is when New Media Expo starts. So I'll actually be out there with him as we're continuing to learn more about podcasting and networking, how to make things bigger and better for everybody involved, not only our listeners, but for potential sponsors as well. So Social Strategy Podcast by Vernon Ross. Do a quick search for that, and I'll probably throw a link to it in the show notes as well, because sometimes podcasts can be kind of tough to find. So we'll do that as well. It's a good suggestion, JJ. Way to you spurred some conversation. Good job. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Kevin.
So I mean that pretty much wraps things up. JJ, you got anything else you want to throw out there? We're
No,
like
I
pretty much
just,
right on time. That's
you know,
cool.
I just want to let everybody know that I really appreciate you guys coming back for more.
Yeah, yeah, we
I really do.
really do. I mean, like JJ said, I mean, I know personally for myself, I really do appreciate everybody that watches, everybody that listens, and whether you're listening live or you listen to us after the fact while you're out for a run, a bike ride, a walk, just maybe you're just sitting at work, later this afternoon or tomorrow, and you listen while you're getting stuff done. We appreciate that. Tell friends, help spread the word. And if you do, buy a T-shirt with our T-shirt campaign. Everybody that sees that, it opens their eyes. So, ooh, what's that? So maybe they'll go home and do a quick search for Tech Informist and be like, oh my God, it's a website and a podcast. Maybe I should check it out. So that's another way to help spread the word as well. So we appreciate any and all support. And like I mentioned before, if you have any comments or suggestions, some feedback, we love feedback. Daryl and I know Dave are big with giving us feedback. We really do appreciate that. You can send that to contact@thetechinformist.com. So Kevin Harvell, find me on Twitter at Kevin Harvell, and JJ, they can find you at JJ Hammond Music on Twitter as well. So that does it for this episode of The Tech Informist, and until next time, consider yourself informed, and we are